My name is Dr. Ajili Tobi.
My name is Etemari Glover. Naomi.
Well done, and shout out to SOUQ News.
Shout out to SOUQ News. I want to encourage everyone to keep watching SOUQ News. Shout out to SOUQ News, and yes, tune into them.
Keep watching SOUQ News. They are one in town.
Hey, we're watching SOUQ News.
Keep watching SOUQ News.
Keep watching SOUQ News. Catch them on YouTube and all social media channels.
Hey, my name is Frank Edowo, and I'm imploring you. No, forget that. I am forcing you, coercing you to always stay tuned to SOUQ News for your news requirements.
Hello and welcome to Market Insight. I am Lavina Emma. Today, we're diving into the Nigerian capital markets and what financial experts are predicting for the second quarter of 2024. Now, the Nigerian Exchange Limited closed the first quarter of 2024 on a high note, fueled by renewed investor confidence in listed companies. This superb performance is a significant achievement for NGX, notwithstanding the prevailing economic adversities such as heightened inflation, currency depreciation, and ongoing security challenges. Now, this positive momentum has market operators filled with optimism for a bullish and active primary quarter in the second quarter of 2024. So on today's show, get ready for insights on potential shifts in focus and exciting opportunities on the horizon. So join us after the break.
Dr. Ajili Tobi.
My name is Etemari Glover. Naomi.
Well done, and shout out to SOUQ News.
Shout out to SOUQ News. I want to encourage everyone to keep watching SOUQ News. Shout out to SOUQ News, and yes, tune into them.
Keep watching SOUQ News. They are one in town.
Hey, we're watching SOUQ News.
Keep watching SOUQ News.
Keep watching SOUQ News. Catch them on YouTube and all social media channels.
Hey, my name is Frank Edowo, and I'm imploring you. No, forget that. I am forcing you, coercing you to always stay tuned to SOUQ News for your news.
We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas touch, and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix, and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job. Tafawa Balewa Square, TBS. Tafawa Balewa Square was initially used as a horsing ground called Lagos Race Course. The edifice was constructed by General Yakubu Gowon in 1972 and named after Nigeria's first Prime Minister, Sir Tafawa Balewa. Tafawa Balewa Square is located at 45/57 Mase Bangboshe Street on Lagos Island, Lagos, and referred to as TBS. TBS is a 50,000-seater capacity venue and houses the Remembrance Arcade, the 26-story Independence House, which at a time was the country's tallest building. When Lagos served as the country's seat of government, the National Assembly Complex was within the TBS. Also in the square are the National Broadcasting Commission Office, the Nigerian Hydrological Services Agency Office, shopping centers, travel agencies, restaurants, car parking lots, and a bus terminal. Tafawa Balewa Square is adorned with beautiful statues of white horses and red eagles, symbols of strength and dignity. Our historic neighbors include the King's College and the Holy Cross Cathedral. Tafawa Balewa Square hosted some of the country's memorable events, such as the Independence Day in 1960, when Nigeria gained independence from Britain, the Armed Forces Remembrance Day, which is celebrated annually on January 15. The edifice is a national cultural asset. Tafawa Balewa Square.
is Raymond Bola Brown.
Hi, my name is Fred Amata, and you are on to SOUQ News.
If you are watching this channel for the first time, make sure you continue to watch it because this is SOUQ News.
Shout out to SOUQ News. Actually, I don't know. I really enjoyed the little moment I spent with you, and I think with more of this.
SOUQ News. Here's the SOUQ News, who had the courage to transcend a locked-off camera and actually have a conversation with a human being. It's a pleasure, SOUQ News. Thank you very much.
Broad Street, situated in Lagos Island, is steeped in Nigerian history. Once the biggest financial hub of the country, it housed the headquarters of major banks, linked the CBN, the stock exchange, and the loads of lender companies. Broad Street is a historically significant street. It has played a central role in the development of Lagos and history. An important commercial and administrative center for the British colonial authorities. It was also a home to some of the city's earliest modern buildings. Broad Street was a residential area in the pre-colonial era. With the British came the Methodist Boys High School in 1878 and the Broad Street Prison in 1882, renamed Freedom Park. The General Hospital, which was a British military hospital, was built in 1893. Being the first general hospital in Nigeria. The old British Secretariat building, which is now the Federal Ministry of Justice, was built in 1906. Broad Street has seen a full turn into modern commercial office blocks, complexes, skyscrapers, and markets from the outer marina through Akpombo, early into the Adeniji-Adele Road. Broad Street is one of the busiest streets in Nigeria on weekdays, where commercial activities take place day and night. From modern buildings to ancient structures, this street gives one a raw dose of life in Lagos. Broad Street is often referred to as Lagos Financial District. It boasts a mix of architectural styles, reflecting its long history, colonial-era buildings, Victorian and Edwardian architectural features, alongside more modern skyscrapers and structures. Broad Street remains a vital, vibrant part of the Nigerian economy. Broad Street.
Welcome back. So on Market Insights, we bring you financial issues of what's happening all over the world, not just Nigeria alone. And today, Monday, we're focusing on energy, first of all, then later on, we'll talk about the stock market. So today on energy now, the world is facing a critical juncture. The global energy crisis is driving up fuel costs and straining resources. But this crisis can also be an opportunity, a chance to innovate and embrace new solutions. Now, in this part of the program, we'll explore the alternatives to traditional fuels that are shaping the future of energy. We'll meet with pioneers and uncover technologies and discover economic and environmental impacts of these groundbreaking options. So on today's show, I have a guest who has actually pioneered the alternatives to fuel right now. His name is Mr. Nutsu Jojo Cyril. My guest is going to discuss how he delved into this alternative to fuel. So he's joining us via Zoom this morning. Mr. Nutsu Jojo Cyril is popularly called Jojo Amani. He's an information and communication technologist. He's the former head of ICT unit of the Office of the Honorable Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation. He's also an initiator of processes that gave birth to the national policy on methanol fuel production technology. He's in the front line promoting the proper implementation of the policy. He's also an advocate of good governance through deployment of appropriate technologies to solve human, social, political, and economic challenges. So welcome to Market Insight, Mr. Cyril.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here once again.
Well, I'm glad to have you on the program this morning. So we're going to be talking about different energy crisis happening right now, particularly in Nigeria. We have the issue of the increase in electricity tariffs, first of all, and also there's an impending issue. I'm sure you noticed over the weekend that there were fuel queues at some petrol stations in Lagos. So apart from the issue of fuel, there's also the electricity tariff, which was also increased, and Nigerians are not enjoying this current hardship. It's already tough before these things were increased, and now it's almost looking like we have an insensitive government, but I don't think that's the case. So now, options. Now, what do you consider for renewable options for, in terms of, first of all, let's start with electricity. I know there are some people who have a reason to use solar panels and other renewable energy options, but as a pioneer for renewable energy options for fuel, what would you recommend in the case of electricity?
Yes, I will start by saying, in all, we are talking about productivity. The hardship in the land is all about how productive the people are and what government is doing to aid productivity. So if you are talking about productivity, you are talking about electricity, power. And I'm glad that this topic today is for us to look into alternative energy sources and how sustainable they can be. Let me start by saying that Nigeria has all the raw materials needed to generate quality electricity to power high production lines, that industries. But the challenge here is that we've not exhibited appropriate will to ensure that we deploy appropriate technologies to have these raw materials utilized to generate electricity. Let me start by saying electricity can be generated through different means. We have the hydro, we have the solar, we have the wind, we equally have the fossil fuel wing of electricity generation. But coming to what I think we should be discussing here, I think we should be discussing one of the basic raw materials that is in abundance that can be used in electricity generation, and that is the natural gas resources. And also the biomass, the waste, what's the so-called waste that we generate, the composable municipal waste. But looking at it critically, I want us to take a look at natural gas. What can natural gas do when it comes to quality electricity generation in Nigeria? Natural gas can do a lot. Number one, natural gas can actually be used directly to power gas turbines to generate electricity. The same natural gas can be used to power our local home generators, those called lister generators, to generate electricity. But how do we now harness this natural gas to achieve this? That becomes a challenge. Presently, this natural gas is being vented, flared, and so to say, harnessed, but not in a quantity that will help us solve our energy problems. So how do we harness the ones that are being flared and vented? We have to harness them by converting them into a much more useful liquid that will help us have a value chain that will empower citizens. What is this liquid? The methanol liquid. Talking about methanol, and that is why the Federal Executive Council in 2019 approved of the National Policy on Methanol Fuel Production Technology. Why did the policy come into existence? The policy came into existence because methanol finds its uses in a lot of sectors of the economy. And one of the sectors of the economy is power generation. And if you want to use methanol to generate power, they have to produce methanol. But presently, methanol is not produced commercially in Nigeria. We might say it's being synthesized in some labs, privately and government-wise, but the production outfit to serve for commercial purpose is not yet there. Why the delay? Why don't we have that? If we had methanol generation in Nigeria, we would definitely have a system where this product will be used to power electricity generation plants. And the quality of electricity that will be generated will be so reliable to the point that it can be used on any production line, any industry whatsoever in the country. So if I am to suggest, I would suggest that while looking at other forms of energy generation or electricity generation, let us take a critical look at implementing the National Policy on Methanol Fuel Production. And by so doing, having raw material utilized properly and having methanol on ground to use and power the energy sector to solve energy crisis in Nigeria. That is what I think should be focused for now. Thank you.
Okay, but Mr. Cyril, now how accessible is methanol? As we know, like you said, it's not produced in such large quantities in Nigeria right now. So how will most people be able to get easy access to it? Because, you know, Nigerians are complaining about these high electricity tariffs, and we need options actually right now. We need options for most citizens. We can't even, people living in the cities require options for this situation. So how easy is it for them to get access to something like methanol? I was thinking maybe other renewable energy sources that are easily accessible, like we have the sunlight, wind power. These days, people are even using sawdust and also the waste from farm production. For example, poultry farmers, the waste, I understand they can use it to power their farms or any other means to turn it into electricity for them. So how can we make this kind of renewable energy option in large quantities for more people in the country?
Let me state clearly that methanol, as I earlier said, is just being synthesized in labs so far. There's no production line that has methanol to be sold commercially in Nigeria. What we have in Nigeria is the idea that we need to produce methanol. So saying almost every imported. So Nigeria already is a where we have the raw materials to produce this metal. In 2021, through the Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources, CL and board and one other company signed a business investment billion naira to build a methanol plant in Brass. As it stands today, we are yet to see during the signing ceremony, the stakeholders made us to understand that this plant will be functioning before, if I'm not mistaken. But so to say, as we speak now, we are yet to see any feasible or remarkable work being done for this plant to be functioning. So if we are looking at deploying methanol to solve our energy crisis, then we have to start from the scratch. What is the scratch? We have to have on-ground methanol production plants. We can't run away from the fact the global economy is tilting towards methanol. You see, I want to give you an instance. With the GSM phones we use today, long before we started using GSM phones in commercial quantity in Nigeria here, our neighboring countries, Benin Republic, Togo, they all had GSM phones operating for about a decade before we even started using it here. So most times we appear to come late, but it's better late than never. But in the case of methanol value chain technology to solve our energy crisis, I think the time is now. Now, when I say now, I mean now. Government needs to go into PPP, public-private partnership, to ensure that within the shortest time frame, we have methanol plants, modular methanol plants that are in the sizes of 40-feet container, mobile, dotted around the country where you have natural gas and other feedstocks for methanol production. It might appear to take time, but if we start today, in the next 18 months to 2 years, a methanol plant in a modular capacity that will produce about 30,000 liters a day. And if it produces about 30,000 liters, if one modular methanol plant that will cost with a range of about 30 million US dollars will produce and has a lifespan of 25 liters of methanol in a day, then you have it dotted around the whole country. You can do the maths yourself. Divide $30 million, divide $2.3 billion by $30 million. Then you know how many modular methanol plants can be dotted. But here we are, government planning and executing a plan that would have this amount of money used to build a facility for just one location. Now, how do you haul raw materials to this location? How do you make sure that the raw material, the feedstock for the methanol production get to the methanol plant if you exhaust that which is on ground at the place where you have installed the plant. So for me and my team, we are of the opinion, and sincerely speaking, and rightly so, that we have to go back, sit down, and investors should be encouraged to come in, and government should create the enabling environment for these investors to come in, so that at the end of the day, by maximum end of 2015, we should have modular methanol plants operating in the country. If we do this, then you will not say that Nigerians have raw materials to run their day-to-day activities. Why am I sounding this way? What are the derivatives of methanol? We are usually talking about methanol in energy generation. That is not just it. Methanol has very serious use in the chemical sector, where as of 2018 statistics, Nigeria imports on record over $2 billion of chemical into the country. And these chemicals can actually be produced using methanol. But here we are paying fine for the gas that is being flared in the name of gas flare penalty, and using these funds not to remediate the methanol value chain or the gas sector. Rather, we use it to solve other pressing needs of the society. So for me, my take is a very simple one. We have to encourage, embrace, and put on ground. Encourage the investment, embrace the process, and put on ground a functioning methanol plant that will serve as a yardstick, that will serve as a solution point where other investors can copy from. Until we do that, we'll just be speaking, and nothing good will come out of speaking. We have to move to action. But right now, we are still doing our best. We are meeting stakeholders. We have our investment plans in place, and I think with the needed support from the government at the center and the will to implement proper implementation of national policy on methanol fuel production, we will have a methanol plant on ground. And once we have a methanol plant on ground, trust me, the economic fortunes of Nigerians will change. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Mr. Cyril. Okay, let's take a short break now. When we return, we're still going to discuss further with Mr. Cyril. Stay tuned.
Lateef Jakande. Born Lateef Kayode Jakande in the Ekpetedo area of Lagos Island, Lagos State on July 1929. He studied at the Lagos Public School at Enuowa, Lagos Island, then at Bonham Memorial Methodist School, Port Harcourt, King's College, enrolled at Ilesha Grammar School, where he edited a literary paper called The Quarterly Mirror. Jakande began a career in journalism in 1949 with the Daily Service and joined the Nigerian Tribune in 1953. The owner, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, appointed Jakande editor-in-chief of the Tribune in 1956. Jakande established John West Publications in 1975 after leaving Tribune and began to publish the Lagos News. He served as the first president of the Newspaper Proprietors Association of Nigeria, NPAN. Jakande ran for election as executive governor of Lagos State in 1979 on the Unity Party of Nigeria platform. His administration was effective and open and implemented the cardinal policies of his party. He introduced housing and educational programs targeting the poor, building new neighborhood primary and secondary schools, and providing free primary and secondary education. He gave poor people's children education, and many of them are now very prominent in the society today. Jakande established the Lagos State University and constructed over 30,000 housing units. After the military takeover in 1983, Jakande was charged, prosecuted, and convicted of treason and later pardoned. He served as Minister of Works under the Sani Abacha military regime. He died in Lagos on February 11, 2021. Lateef Jakande was the first civilian governor of Lagos State. Lateef Kayode Jakande, SOUQ Enlightenment.
Welcome back. So before we went on the break, I was talking with Mr. Nutsu Jojo Cyril. He's the former head of the ICT departments of the Office for the Honorable Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation. So he joined us via Zoom to have this discussion on options to renewable energy and alternatives to fuel in the global energy crisis. So are you with us, Mr. Cyril? Cyril, thank you for joining us. So, so before we went on the break, I was talking about, you mentioned the importance of methanol and how it's going to be a very good renewable energy option. So I also want to know now, when it comes to electricity, you know, I mentioned earlier on that it's not easy for Nigerians. Like, what other options would you recommend for renewable energy to Nigerians at this point in time, since the option of methanol is a work in progress? So what other available renewable energy options are there? Please, can you unmute your microphone, Mr. Cyril?
Okay, please. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
What other renewable options for electricity are there for Nigerians to switch to during this period of the high electricity tariff?
You see, I have this understanding that we don't just provide solutions. Look at the economic capacity of the people before we provide solutions. For instance, one of the alternative energy sources is solar, which is, I think we can see it being deployed for those that have the capacity to deploy. And what are you deploying it for? Is it for home use, or office use, or for production? If you have it for office use, accepted, because you have solar compatible or solar enabled electronic devices and that you can use solar energy for. But when you look at production, what machines can solar energy power? Because when we look at the real deployment of energy to solve our energy crisis, and we look at solar, then we should be saying solar should be used for domestic use and office use, but not for industrial use. Because when we talk about industrial use, its deployment, the scale of deployment, the investment, the capital base to have it properly deployed to solve energy problems, for our production lines to function effectively, is very massive. When we talk about solar, it's all about getting energy, housing the energy in a battery, and deploying it when you need it. These batteries are not produced in the country, but the basic raw materials to produce this battery is in abundance in the country. Talking about lithium, what is government doing to ensure that we have a full-blown lithium value chain in Nigeria? I know that some government agencies and private companies are producing solar panels. What incentive is government giving to these companies such that the solar panel, the cost of a panel will be reduced for the ordinary man, so to say, that has certain amount of resources to invest in energy, to make it affordable for such a person? Presently, for you to have energy in your house, not just to power your electric bulbs, but to serve your needs, you'll be talking about an investment that will not even meet the basic that the ordinary man, that what are they called? The person that earns the lowest in the rank cannot afford it. Then when you look at the man up there that also sees himself as meaningfully employed, that has access to resources, can his basic salary afford such a solution? The answer averagely is no. So government needs to come in. If we say we should deploy, you see, it's a mix. I won't be supporting the idea that we should deploy solar energy when the cost of deploying it is a challenge to citizens, and government has not done anything to empower citizens to have the capacity to deploy it for their use. Whereas in deploying solutions, once it is written on paper, money is allocated, those that conceive the ideas will even be left behind. For those that think they are in government, to have access to these ones and deploy what will not solve the reason for which, or it will not meet up the purpose for which these projects are being initiated. So it is not all sitting here and we're discussing what are the solutions. What about the deployment? What about the deployment? We have the capacity, but our challenge is the will. We will to properly deploy this. So now our alternative sources of energy, if we look at solar, fine and good, but what role will government play to ensure that the masses have access to this solution? Do the masses have the capacity for this solution? Can you use solar energy to iron your clothes? Can you use solar energy to heat water? So there are limitations there. Can solar energy be used for industrial use, big large-scale industrial production line? Can it be used for that? So if you're looking at energy mix, it should be, if you look at energy solutions, it should be an energy mix. The industry should have their solution. Domestic should have their solution. While we look at corporate solution, where you look at corporate headquarters of banks, I think there's a bank, I don't want to mention name here, in Lagos that commissioned or opened her headquarters that is solar powered, A to Z, off national grid. I heard that news some time ago. So if such exists, then there is hope for solar. But if there is hope for solar, how is it helping the people? Are we exporting our jobs? Because if the people are empowered, then they can afford whatever solutions there is in the market. But if they are not empowered, the solutions will be there. They can't access it. So for me, I would say that Nigeria needs an energy mix to solve energy crisis in different sectors. And this energy mix will comprise of both the hydro, the dams should come to life and generate to their utmost capacity. The natural renewable energy that we have should be put to use. You see, windmills generate electricity, but you can't deploy windmill in every part of the country. You can only deploy it where you have enough wind to generate the electricity. The infrastructure needed to have a windmill functioning, can individuals afford it? What is the government doing for this to be utilized, for masses, for the people to have access to this solution? So it all boils down to critical thinking, critical analysis, and coming up with a roadmap and following that roadmap. We can't be discussing this as individuals. Those government operators that have decisions that are expected to take decision and implement these decisions should actually be brought here to tell us what
Sorry about that. We apologize for that technical hitch. Mr. Cyril must have had a small technical issue, but we'll get back to him shortly. And yes, to your question, Mr. Cyril, yes, we can actually use solar energy for all you mentioned to actually power our homes, to actually do basic things in our homes like ironing, like lights for electricity, for watching TV. We can also use solar to power our industries, our manufacturing industries. We can use solar energy both for domestic use and for official use also. But the question is, how can this solar energy be harnessed in large quantities and be made affordable for everybody, both for the masses, for people in the rural communities, for people living in urban centers also? That's the main issue right now. And you, like you rightfully said, we need more government intervention to create this energy mix so that we have people going with options actually for solar energy, for the hydro energy, for also, yes, like you rightfully mentioned, the windmill energy also. So we need those kind of options. Are you back with us, Mr. Cyril?
Yes, please, I'm here.
Yes, welcome back. Okay. So I said yes to your questions that solar energy can be used for as both for domestic use and for official use, both in offices and homes also, even in the manufacturing industry actually. So the issue is who can generate that much that much renewable energy options for Nigerians. So like you rightfully mentioned, we need government intervention, a public-private partnership to actually make this a reality for more and more Nigerians all over the country.
Let me say something. I was in a discussion with one of the solar experts, and when I asked him a simple question, how mature is an estate to have solar energy deployed to solve her needs? And he said the challenge is that already people have electronic appliances that are not solar, that are not in tune with the solar energy usage. That means they are not solar compatible. So such will be a challenge when deploying solar energy, because if you don't have a device that is solar compatible, what you will meet is that your energy will just be drained unnecessarily. Then you will not, if you just oppose energy generated and usage, the economics will not balance. So it will be an effort in futility. So he still told me that one of the best things we should do is to create awareness for people to start moving their electronic devices from the conventional, the traditional electronic devices to solar-enabled or solar-compatible electronic devices, so that once there is the deployment of a solar farm around any vicinity, people can actually key into it because they have the devices that they can use for the proper usage of this consumption of this electricity that be generated. So for us to have a watertight solution, the populace have to be carried along. I think that's the essence of this discourse that we're having. The people have to be enlightened enough to know that, okay, when next I'm going to get a TV set, I should ask for a solar compatible television set. Whatever I want to buy from the market, I should ask for a solar compatible device. That way, we will be sure that people will accepting the concept of rolling over their power usage to solar, so that anyhow it goes, the energy mix plan will sync. There'll be a synchronization process where the solutions that we get from those in the renewable energy sector and the national grid, all of them will help us have a mix that will solve our problems.
Mr. Nutsu Jojo Cyril, and it's been great having you on Market Insight this morning. And thank you for sharing your insights on renewable energy options in Nigeria, particularly with an increased use of methanol, and also enlightening people on the advantages of of solar energy and how to make it more affordable and created in large quantities for more and more Nigerian homes and offices. We look forward to having you on Market Insights again.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure. I will always encourage everybody to have a deep think about what our energy solution.
Okay, so let's take a short break now. When we return, we're going to discuss another very serious issue affecting our financial capital market. Join us after the break.
SOUQ Enlightenment. From modern buildings to ancient structures, this street gives one a raw dose of life in Lagos. Broad Street is often referred to as Lagos Financial District. It boasts a mix of architectural styles, reflecting its long history, colonial-era buildings, Victorian and Edwardian architectural features, alongside more modern skyscrapers and structures. Broad Street remains a vital, vibrant part of the Nigerian economy. Broad Street. SOUQ Enlightenment.
My name is Dr. Agility Obi.
My name is Etemere Glover. Naomi.
Well done, and shout out to SOUQ News.
Shout out to SOUQ News. I want to encourage everyone to keep watching SOUQ News. Shout out to SOUQ News, and yes, tune into them.
Keep watching SOUQ News. They are one in town.
Hey, we're watching SOUQ News.
Keep watching SOUQ News.
Keep watching SOUQ News. Catch them on YouTube and all social media channels.
Hey, my name is Frank Edowo, and I'm imploring you. No, forget that. I am forcing you, coercing you to always stay tuned to SOUQ News for your news requirements.
My name is Yinka Babalola.
My name is Ijoma Pelokoro.
My name is Joshua Hassan.
I am Rotarian or Mosunde Lawson.
It's Ife Yunwarita Ejeze. My friends call me Ife.
My name is Rotarian Lola Dare.
I'm inviting you to keep watching SOUQ News. It's the right station to tune to.
I like SOUQ News. SOUQ News is good.
I want to charge you all to listen to SOUQ News, watch the news.
You can have unlimited news, first time.
Find SOUQ News. Be with SOUQ News. Never switch off. You are better for it. SOUQ News is the real thing.
Listen to their coverage and you'll be glad you did.
Turn to your YouTube, turn to your Instagram, turn to all your digital channels and look for SOUQ News.
Keep watching.
Keep watching.
Please, guys, keep watching
SOUQ News.
Welcome back. So at this point in time in the show, we take a look at the Nigerian capital market and what financial experts are predicting for the second quarter of 2024. Now, the Nigerian Exchange Limited closed the first quarter on a high note, fueled by renewed investor confidence in listed companies. So this superb performance is a significant achievement for the NGX, notwithstanding the prevailing economic adversities such as heightened inflation, currency depreciation, and ongoing security challenges. So this positive momentum has operators filled with optimism for a bullish and active primary markets in the second quarter of 2024. So to discuss this new shift with me in the capital market is Mr. Charles Fakrura. He's a chartered stockbroker, and he's also our consultant right here at SOUQ News to discuss issues with the capital markets, and he has over 20 years experience in the financial services industry. So Mr. Charles will be joining us via Zoom this morning. So welcome to Market Insights, Mr. Charles.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show.
Okay, we're glad you're here this morning. So, yeah, so as I mentioned earlier on, analysts are predicting that there'll be a shift in the capital market, to the Nigerian capital market. So what are the potential implications of this shift for investors in the Nigerian capital markets?
Yes, thank you. Before I do that, let me just do a review of what happened in the market last week. Yeah, you know, the market opened for only 4 trading days for last week because the federal government declared Friday and Monday public day to commemorate the Easter celebration. So a total turnover of over 3 billion shares was 57.9 billion naira in over 40,000 deals was traded last week, you know, by investors at the floor of the exchange. You know, if you compare that to a total of 1.8 billion shares valued at 52 billion naira at the exchange hands the previous week. We had the financial service industry, the service industry, and of course, concrete industry as the industry that led in terms of activity at the market last week. For the three top equities, we had Abe Mortgage Bank, ZZ Bank, and of course, Tourism Company of Nigeria. Quick other review, we also have some ETP, that is exchange traded product that were also traded at the market. We had about over 28,000 deals, worth over 8.2 million. Some of the ETPs that were traded, you know, Stanbic IBDC, New Gold, Greenwich, and of course, Vertiva 30. The week other review, we also had a bond, federal government savings bond. They were also listed, you know, for secondary market trading. And of course, the index also moved. We saw the index and the market capitalization moving. Also, there were also price adjustments. The share price of Afad was adjusted for dividend payment from 38 naira 35 kobo to 36 naira 15 kobo. As a result of the dividend, they are paying 1 naira 90 kobo. So we had top losers for the week, which is very, very important for our investors and our listeners. We had Kutis as the top gainer for last week, Morrison, May and Baker, Champs, and of course, Abe Building Society. We also have the top clients, MBNH, Sterling Bank, Julius Berger, CWG, and also C&I Leasing. Okay, so we also had a lot of listing at the exchange. Last week, federal government had some of the savings bonds. Also saw VFD, a company listed on the exchange, so list their rights issues. Then we saw price adjustments in the market also. But finally, we had a lot of corporate action that came to the market last week. We have the likes of May and Baker paying 30 kobo, MRS paying 296 kobo. We also had Los Beja paying 3 naira. We also have Okomo paying 14 naira. Transcorp Hotel paying 20 kobo. And of course, we were just discussing about power. Transcorp Power is also paying 3 naira 13 kobo. We advise investors to look at that. Bua, that's Bua Cement, is also paying 550 kobo. And of 15 Stanbic Wema Bank. These were the reports for last week. Now I'm coming to your question that there's going to be a shift in focus in the capital market. Yes, we've seen the market done so well the first quarter of 2024. That is most especially for January and February. In March, we saw a lot of sell-off. We saw the market also coming down, but the yield to date was still positive. We are still doing over 38% yield to date. That is the overall market. Now, I am not seeing a major shift. So only what I'm saying is, yes, because the CBN has announced there's a policy that banks should recapitalize. Now, most of the banks will want to start the process. So you will see a lot of activities shifting secondary market to the primary market. What I mean by the primary market, there will be new issuance of shares. The companies will say, okay, we want to increase shareholdings. We want to raise more funds. And they can only do that by way of right issue or public offer. And most investors will be very interested in partaking in some of these new issues that will be coming to the market. We would think that 2 years is a long period. However, it's not that long, so they have to start the process now. And that is why we experts are believing that we might begin to see a shift from the secondary market to the primary market. However, some other things will also play an important role for Q2 2024. Most of the companies, I just shared corporate action. Now, once investors compare the dividend yield, that is what these companies are paying, and their share price, and it is favorable to some investors, you will see a renewed interest, despite the fact that the economic headwinds in the country today, high inflation rate and all that. So we might also see a shift to the fixed income security. We are seeing federal government bond or several federal government securities, they are doing interest above 20% now. So that also incentivizes investors to say, however, I need to rebalance my portfolio. So instead of just doing equity, you will see investors now looking at other asset class in the Nigeria market to have a balanced portfolio. So we're going to be seeing a lot of increase in transactions for Q2 2024, which will be fueled by the performance of the companies and of course this new policy of a central bank. Then again, the rebalancing of investors' portfolio.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Mr. Charles Fakroa. Thank you for analyzing this shift in the capital markets, especially now that we are entering the second quarter, and what options are available for investors, actually. We look forward to having you again on Market Insights as we discuss these issues on the Nigerian capital markets with you. Thank you very much, Mr. Charles.
Having me is a show.
Okay, now let's take a look at the parallel market and the official market CBN rates this morning, where we look at dollars and the pound sterling, the selling rates for the dollars against the naira and the pound sterling and the euros this morning. So for today, Monday, 8th April, at the official Central Bank of Nigeria rate, the dollars are selling for 1,118 naira, and at the parallel market, that's the unofficial market rate, it's selling for 1,250 naira. So that's a difference of 70 naira. And the pound sterling at the official CBN rate is selling for 1,513 naira. And the black market rate is selling for 1,613 naira. So a difference of 117 naira between the parallel market rate and the official CBN rate. So the euro right now is selling for 1,301 naira at the official CBN rate, and at the parallel market it's selling for 1,330 naira. So that's a difference of 29 naira between the black market rate and the official market rate. So those are our parallel market rates and CBN market rates this morning, 8th April 2024. Okay, thank you so much for watching Market Insight this morning as we discussed renewable energy options for Nigerians concerning this high electricity tariff. And my guest, Mr. Nutsu Jojo Cyril, actually talked about how it's important for Nigerians to be enlightened on the benefits of this, how they could get more electrical appliances that are compatible with solar energy to actually make the switch for the options of renewable energy more available to them. And also, we discussed Nigerian capital markets with Mr. Charles Fakroa as he analyzed what investors are to expect in the second quarter of 2024. So that's our package this morning on Market Insights as we discuss these issues side by side with my two guests. So I want to thank my guests very much. I also want to thank you, the viewers watching, and for sharing our videos and all our programs on social media platforms. So we look forward to tomorrow's episode of Market Insights as we discuss more issues affecting the Nigerian economy and other global economic issues. I'm your host, Lovina Emma. Do stay tuned to SOUQ News Update on SOUQ News Television.